FEMA had arrived in New York on Monday night, ready for a bioterror drill. Spokesman Tom Kenny to Dan Rather.
To be honest with you, we arrived on late Monday night and went into action on Tuesday morning. And not until today did we get a full opportunity to work the entire site other than the spot at Church and Day to which we were deployed.
We are staffed to run how many operating rooms right now?
We're staffed to run 3 operating rooms until midnight.
What have you seen today?
Seen the most horrible way a man can treat man.
What I thought I'd like to do is to check up on the status of the patients who are in our intensive care unit now.
This is one of our first patients we saw in the emergency room. He's a 50-year-old white male. He was actually an insurance broker. He was just in his office and was actually on the 78th floor of the second tower and was evacuating the tower and experienced all these explosions and made his way back down. Came in with penetrating abdominal wound and also open shoulder separation, dislocation. And he's actually miraculously doing very well.
Airports throughout the country will be closed.
Turn around.
still on the rubble. It's still, I believe, 1,100 degrees. The guy's boots just melt within a few hours.
At 3 and then at 3:30 at the White House, Ari Fleischer, who is President Bush's White House press spokesman, he'll have a briefing on what has been going on there. We did hear from the president after a National Security Council meeting today in which he described this as an act of war. He said we are back in business, the federal government, but it is not business as usual. He encouraged all federal agency heads and others to be keenly aware of the continuing security threat. Although they believe that this attack is over, it did demonstrate to us all just how vulnerable we may be. And as NBC's Robert Hayes.
Stuff just, it is like ash almost. It just covers over. It looks like an incredible forest fire of some kind, or it's so horrible it's just hard to describe the amount of damage here. Look how small the pieces are. I mean, you're not looking at big chunks of things. You're looking at everything has been just blown to teeny tiny bits. You can see there where the structure is actually caved in, and we see down further into that building there below the surface, a basement level there, where so much of that has just collapsed and fallen down in New York. New Yorkers are tough. They're a tough bunch. They have a big heart. They're hurting, but they are working very hard to try and put their lives back together, to try to save the lives of others if they can be saved, and to recover those who have been hurt or injured, or those who have been killed in all of this. It is a very, very dangerous business, as you can imagine. They're not taking any chances. So many firefighters and police officers have lost their lives in the effort to try and save others. They're trying to be as careful as they can. Look at this structure right here. Would you want to stand underneath that or anywhere near that? There's no way of knowing how long that would stand. Would a breeze come along or something just shift ever so slightly and have it come down right on top of you? But it's work that has to be done, and there are those who are willing to get in there and make that sacrifice, take that chance, take that risk with their own lives to try and help out other people.
I can tell you that the mayor of New York said that at this point they have been in contact with one person today who is buried in the rubble. They are still trying to get to that person. It's unclear at this moment if that person is still alive.
Two men are as he put it, quote, a part of a very heavy focus by the FBI, being looked at as suspects in these incidents. Of course, the two men were believed to be about 5 foot 10 inches tall. One was wearing a blue shirt, another one a white shirt. They both had black hair. As he described them, they weren't really light complected. Evidently, the car that these suspects were believed to have left here at the Portland Jetport garage was a 2001 blue Nissan Altima. It was brought to the attention of the Portland police by the FBI last night. The Portland police brought their bomb-sniffing dogs to the car. They did not get a hit, but what happened was they did impound the car. They took photos of it. It was impounded overnight by the state police and taken to the Maine State Police Crime Lab in Augusta, where it's being held for the FBI. Now, Chief Chitwood did say, gave you some sort of description. He said that he was shown still photos from.
America will never be the same. This is the first time this kind of thing has happened. We'll be more cautious in the future. We will be more alert to terrorism. We were aware of terrorism. It appears to me that we may have been victimized by our own resilience. I remember the day after the bombing saying, I will be back in my office, because then the governor had an office on the 57th floor, within 2 or 3 months. And 2 or 3 months later, I returned with all the other tenants. And America went back to its norm. And all of a sudden, the pressure was off. We weren't concerned anymore.
think we're going to have to remember September 11th in its reality, much the same way as we have to remember other horrific events in our history. Because somehow I think it pushes the human consciousness toward finding ways to avoid this in the future.
I was in the B4 level. I was assigned to the B3 level, but I had to do something in the B4 sheet metal shop. So I went in the sheet metal shop, do what I had to do, and on my way, I heard a bomb. So I says, probably the transformer again blew up. So I stepped back, finished what I had to finish, and I started towards the door again. And there come a big blast with a big ball of fire. And that's when I got hit. It hit me right back down on the ground, and I realized that my ankle was shattered.
Came running out of the office when he saw what was happening and has told us a very compelling story. We were trying to get him on tape. He really should not have been out of the hospital, but said he actually needed a cup of coffee, and that's why he walked out. But his story was that he ran in. He went into the daycare center, which really hasn't been mentioned very much, on the second floor of one of the World Trade Center buildings. And the good news, he said, was there was nobody in that center, but he made his way up. He pulled people out with him as they resisted, and then there was an explosion. He said car exploding outside, knocked him unconscious, and he was rescued himself by a firefighter.
6th floor, and I was reviewing some work, and it was about 10 to 9, and the building shook. And I felt it was an earthquake, and it didn't bother me because I felt the building could sustain earthquakes. They were built for that. And then there was a huge explosion. The ceiling fell.
One more story. Yesterday, in the first couple of hours of this, when all American, all U.S. air carriers were ordered to land at the nearest airport, this was taken very seriously. One of our photographers noticed a military jet trailing closely a civilian airliner in the vicinity of Washington, D.C. He was in Arlington at the time. By the time he swung his camera up, it was out of frame, so we have only 2 or 3 seconds of video of it. But this was taken very seriously yesterday.